Hello everyone, King Solomon 121 here, and today we're actually going to be doing something a little bit different. We're not going to be doing a Minecraft tutorial today, we're actually going to be starting up a new series. It's going to be called the How To YouTube series. And so in this series, what we're going to be doing is teaching you guys what programs you will need and how to use those programs in order to start up on YouTube. Now, I know how to start up. I'm no expert on how to get big on YouTube because I myself aren't very big, but I do know how to start up and what resources you should use in order to start up. So this episode today is about how to make a logo using Blender, the program you can see right down here. So I'm going to show you guys a little preview of what your logo should look like. Okay guys, so we are back, and so if you liked what that looked like, make sure to stay with us and I'll show you how to make that. So it's going to be quite simple. All you're going to need for this is Blender, which you can see right now. You can just look up on Google Blender, Blender program, something like that, and a internet browser, which I have right here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look up in your search box is dafont.com, DAFONT.com, and just go ahead and search that. Okay, so this is a site where you can get lots of fonts, and so there's tons of fonts on here. So you're going to want to use something that's pretty bold, kind of like this. This would be a nice font, but you want to make sure that this up here doesn't say free for personal use. You want it to say 100% free or shareware even you can use, but it can't say free for personal use because then you can actually get copyrighted on it because you can only use it for personal use, not for something like YouTube. So if you want to use this for something like a home video or something like that and not put it up on a YouTube or any other video site, then you can use something with free for personal use. But otherwise you're going to want to find 100% free font. So I'm just going to look around and find a font that I like. You guys should do the same, and I'll be back once I find one. Okay guys, so I found a font that I like. It's called Bubblegum right here. It's pretty bold, and I like it, and you can see it's shareware. So once you guys find a font that you like, you're going to click download. Then you're going to go down here and you're going to click save and then open. Okay, so I'm just going to put this into a little box here and close out the web browser. We won't need that anymore. So now I'm gonna drag this out onto my desktop, and then once I have it out here, you can just put it somewhere that you're gonna know where it is. So I'm just gonna put it right in there, just so that you know where it is and you can find it later. So as long as you know where it is, that's fine. You can just leave it on the desktop. So now we're going to open up Blender, which shouldn't take too long depending on your computer. And so this isn't going to be a a full tutorial on Blender. If you'd like one of those, just go ahead and look that up on Google. There's plenty of them up. This is just going to be explaining how to do what we need to do in order to create that logo that I showed you earlier. So the first thing you want to do is just click out of that, and it should be like this. So you're going to want to click delete on your keyboard and then just click OK to that. So you're really going to need a number pad for this. If you don't have a number pad, you can look up how to change the key bindings and do that. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to be using the number pad. So, and it has to be the number pad. It can't be the numbers up above your letters. It has to be a number pad. So the first thing you're going to want to do is press 0, and that's going to bring you into the camera view, okay? Now the camera view, you can see it's kind of at an awkward angle. So we also have 1 is the front view, 3 is the side view, and 7 is the top view. Okay, just so you guys know, for this tutorial we're only going to be needing 1. So what you're going to want to do is click 1 and then Control-Alt-0. And what that's going to do is that's going to move your camera view into the front view. So now you can see we have our camera view here. Okay? So if we click, let's say 7, bring us to our top view, and then 0 to go to the camera view, it'll be that front view there. So now we're going to want to go down here, and where it says add, we're going to click add, and then go to text. Okay? Now you can see it's like a flat line of text there, that little orange. So we want it so that we can see the front face of our text. So in order to do that, we're going to click R for rotate, X because we want it to rotate on the X axis, and then 90 for 90 degrees. And then you're going to want to left click. You can see we have our text right there. Now if you press tab, you're going to get into the text box and you can type in here. So you can type in whatever you'd like. I'm just going to type in my YouTube channel, King Solomon 121. Okay? And then you're going to press tab again to get out of that. Now next we're going to put in your font. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to minimize this one by just dragging it down and out of there. And then I'm going to switch this one by clicking that little box there and going to properties. And then I just like to drag it out, that way I can see everything that's going on. So you're going to want to click the little F, the font tab up here. And I just like to minimize these to organize it a little bit better, so it's nice and clean looking. And you can click font, the little font tab here. Now under regular, you're going to want to click on the little filing cabinet there and go to wherever your font is. So my font is here, Bubblegum. And that's going to change your font on here to there. So now we're going to fit this into the box. So the way to do this is by clicking G, you're going to grab the font and you can move it around however you want. Now if you don't like the way you moved it, you can right click to put it back where it was. And if you want to finalize that move, you're going to left click. And then the other button you're going to need is S to scale it up. So you're going to want to move it over so that your first letter is kind of right on the edge there. And then scale it up. And then you're going to want to lay it in so that it fits nicely on there. I'll move it over a little bit more this way. So that looks pretty good right there. You guys can fool around with it a little bit more. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to color our text. So you want to go into the little color wheel and click new. Bump the intensity all the way up to 1 and then choose a color here by clicking this little diffuse tab. So I'm going to make mine a nice dark blue looking color. Now you're going to want to make it a little bit darker than you want it, than you would usually want it, because it's going to actually brighten up later on. So you can make it a bit darker than you would actually like it, because it will brighten up. Okay, so now we have our color, which looks nice. And we're going to go back to the font tab and go to geometry. Now you can fiddle around with the depth and the extrude, and you can just fiddle around with that, raise it up. So what the extrude is going to do is it's going to give it some depth, you can see here. So make it a bit bigger and it'll make it pop out a bit. I think that looks pretty good. I'm actually going to grab it and move it over a little bit. A little bit more maybe. That looks good. And then the depth will actually bevel it out. Man, that's doing some weird stuff with this font. So I might want just 0 depth, because you can see the depth is making it look really weird with these spikes. But I mean, it probably won't do that with your font. It just appears to be a weird font. So I'm just going to keep it like that. That looks pretty good. The depth will bevel it though, regularly. But this font's a bit weird, I guess. So I mean, oopsies. Swinging around there. So you can play around with it some more, but since this is a tutorial, I'm not going to be looking for perfection. So the final thing we're going to want to do is 2 more things, I guess. We're going to go into this world tab, and you want to make sure that ambient occlusion, environment lighting, and indirect lighting are all on and turned to 1. Okay? Make sure that, otherwise your color won't show up when you go to render it. And also your gather has to be at approximate. Final thing is you're going to want to go to the camera tab and turn your resolution up to 100. Now resolution should be 1920 by 1080 unless you want to use it for YouTube banner art. If you'd like to do that, you're going to have to go on Google and find out what the YouTube banner art size is and then change this to be equivalent with that. Make sure anti-aliasing is clicked, and then the compression, what that's going to do is, if you have 0% compression, it's going to be a very large file, but it'll download and render really quickly. But if you have 100% compression, it's going to be a smaller file, but it will render a little bit slower. So that's personal preference. I prefer 100. And make sure this is selected on RGBA. And where it goes doesn't really matter because we're just going to be using a copy. Now the final thing you have to do before you render it is go to Shading and go to Transparent. So what this is going to do is make the background transparent. So that way, if you want to overlay it on something like I do in my outro, you're not going to have this black background behind the text. It's going to be whatever you want to put behind it. So now that we have that, we're going to click Render here. You're going to see it'll render out. You can use the mouse scroller to zoom in and out if you guys didn't know that. And it'll take a few seconds to render out. But there we go, that's what our text is going to look like. And you want to make sure it has that checkerboard background, because that's going to mean that it is transparent. Now let's say you render it out and you're unhappy with what it looks like. If you want to change something, you can click right down here where it's got the little picture, click 3D view, and it'll bring you back to here. And then if I wanted to make the color a little bit lighter, and then just go back here, click render again, and it'll go ahead and render out again. So you can see the color that you put in and the color that renders are a little bit different, just because of some of the settings that we have to put in. But I think that's pretty good. So we're done with all this stuff here, and we're just gonna export this now. So you're gonna want to click Image, save a copy, and then just choose where you want it to go. So I'm just gonna put it in my little logo section here, and I'm gonna call it tutorial logo. Call it whatever you'd like, and then just go ahead and click Save as Image up here. And there we go. I'm just going to minimize this and make sure that it did save before I close out Blender. But let's see here. So, and here it is. So we can just open that up in Pictures, and here it is. So we got our photo here, we got our logo, and then you can do with that whatever you would like. So now I can just close out my Blender. Don't really need to save, I've already got the file there. If you'd like to save, you can. But that's going to be it, guys. So if you like this tutorial, make sure to subscribe and like the video, and comment if you had any questions. I'm probably going to be doing some more how to YouTube, such as how to make your Minecraft player head as a logo, as well as how to edit audio and some other video functions. So I hope you like this video, and it's King Solomon 121. See you next time. and I will